March 22nd, 2025, downtown Memphis became the scene of a violent encounter that would change lives forever. Sauce Walka and Sayso P were outside the Westin Hotel near FedEx Forum when multiple armed individuals emerged from a vehicle and opened fire. But what has really sent alarm bells ringing and gone viral is the fact that just days after, one of the shooters has already been found dead. Let's get into it. The shooting incident. The incident, which occurred around 2:42 p.m. local time, wasn't just a random act of violence, according to law enforcement. The Memphis Police Department confirmed that this was a targeted attack, not a random shooting, suggesting that Sauce Walka and Sayso P may have been specifically chosen as victims. This revelation immediately sparked questions and speculation about who might have wanted to harm the two artists and why. As news of the shooting broke, fans and fellow artists alike expressed shock and concern for both victims. Sauce Walka, whose real name is Albert Walker Mundane, sustained a non-critical injury to his leg during the attack. He was rushed to a local hospital for treatment, and while his injuries were serious, they weren't life-threatening. The rapper, known for his contributions to Houston's vibrant rap scene and for founding the Sauce Factory record label, was expected to make a recovery. Unfortunately, the outcome was far more tragic for Sayso P, whose real name was Latorian Hunt. The 27-year-old Memphis-born rapper was pronounced dead at the scene, leaving behind a community in mourning and raising questions about the motives behind this violent act. The relationship between Sauce Walka and Sayso P went beyond a simple professional association. They had a bond that had developed organically over time. According to interview footage, their connection began through street racing in Houston, not initially through music. Over the course of 2 years, their friendship grew, with Sauce Walka seeing genuine qualities in Sayso P that led to him signing with the Sauce Factory. This wasn't just a business decision, but one rooted in a personal connection, with Sauce Walka later referring to Sayso P as his little brother. This close bond made the events of March 22nd all the more devastating. As details emerged about the shooting, we learned that surveillance footage captured the moment when 3 men jumped out of a white car parked on George W. Lee Avenue. 2 of the men, one wearing a black coat and the other in red, ran toward a black Escalade where the rappers were located and opened fire without hesitation. The surveillance video, which was obtained by TMZ and began circulating widely online around March 25th, 26th, 2025, showed one victim, believed to be Sayso P, falling behind the Escalade while Sauce Walka managed to flee the scene. The gunmen quickly retreated to their vehicle and drove away, leaving behind a scene of tragedy that would soon capture national attention. The immediate aftermath of the shooting saw a flurry of activity from law enforcement. Using a combination of surveillance footage and real-time data, the Memphis Police Department worked tirelessly to piece together what had happened and identify those responsible. Within days, they had a lead on a suspect. On March 26, 2025, Memphis police identified 21-year-old Jaden Dandridge as a suspect in the shooting. He was charged with 1 count of first-degree murder, 2 counts of attempted first-degree murder, 2 counts of employment of a firearm during a dangerous felony, and auto theft. A reward of $6,000 was offered for information leading to his arrest, highlighting the urgency with which law enforcement was pursuing the case. The identification of Dandridge as a suspect provided some initial answers, but many questions remained. What was the motive behind the attack? Was it related to personal beefs, gang rivalries, or something else entirely? The hip-hop community and fans of both artists wanted to know why this tragedy had occurred and whether there was more to the story than initially met the eye. As Sauce Walka recovered from his injuries, he took to social media to share his experience and pay tribute to his fallen friend. In a video that surfaced online, we can see Sauce Walka in good spirits despite his injuries, showing where he was shot and expressing love for Sayso P. The video, which circulated widely, showed him opening up his bandages to reveal his wounds, with someone off camera saying, "It's not that bad, it's not that bad," perhaps in an attempt to keep spirits up during a difficult time. In the same video, we can hear Sauce Walka mention "Sauce in peace, Sayso P," a clear tribute to his fallen friend and artist. This video, along with subsequent social media posts, offered a glimpse into Sauce Walka's emotional state as he grappled with his own recovery and the loss of someone close to him.
Thank you, Jesus. I love you, bro. Thank you. I love you. You know I was gonna call you Wallahi.
Pack.
I'm dripping. I'm still dripping.
Slow-mo. Citrus do.
This is Scarface. This one of my Islamic brothers right here.
That's not that bad, though. It's not that bad.
2 of them.
On March 25th, 2025, Sauce Walka shared a heartfelt tribute to Sayso P on Instagram, expressing his profound grief with the words or tears can't explain the loss I feel. Splat, I wish your fat listened to me and stayed in the room. This emotional post reflected their close relationship, with Sauce Walka noting their 4 years together, traveling across states, and Sayso P's unwavering loyalty. It added a deeply personal dimension to a tragedy that had already captured public attention. Meanwhile, Sayso P's mother also spoke out, addressing rumors that had begun to circulate about the possible motives behind the shooting. She denied theft rumors, stating haters set him up, and adding that too loyal to wrong people was his downfall, and envious haters killed my baby. These statements hinted at deeper conflicts or issues that may have contributed to the tragic events of March 22nd. There's also another conversation happening about what might have led to this violence. According to a claim from music manager Rainwater, as shared in a conversation with WAC 100, there might have been a case of mistaken identity involved in the shooting. Rainwater suggested that the shooter stood over Sauce Walka until realizing who he was and then ran away.
Oh, they stood over him.
Yeah, they realized it was Walka.
This account adds another layer of complexity to an already multifaceted case, suggesting that the shooters may have had specific targets in mind, and that Sauce Walka's involvement might have been incidental rather than intentional. As days passed and the investigation continued, fan reactions across social media platforms like Reddit revealed a mix of emotions and perspectives on the incident. Some fans expressed mourning for Say So P with comments like "Rip to that man," while others directed blame at Sauce Walka, suggesting that his past behavior and poor decision-making had contributed to his friend's death. Speculation about motives also ran rampant on social media. Some users suggested that Say So P may have been targeted due to a past robbery in Memphis, with one comment stating, "Say So P may have robbed a plug," leading to the shooting, and another confirming, "Say So P robbed a plug in Memphis for money and drugs." However, these claims were contested by others who pointed out that a bag with money was left untouched at the scene, suggesting a personal beef rather than a robbery-related motive. There was also criticism of broader cultural practices within the hip-hop community, with some fans calling for rappers and athletes to stop flexing on social media, arguing that such behavior increases their risk of becoming targets. This perspective reflects ongoing concerns about safety and security in an industry where success and public visibility can sometimes attract negative attention. Another unexpected angle in fan discussions was the debate over whether the shooting was a planned hit, specifically targeting Say So P, with Sauce Walka caught in the crossfire. This theory suggests that Say So P was targeted for returning to a city where he wasn't welcome, adding another layer of complexity to the narrative surrounding the incident. The shooting also reignited discussions about Sauce Walka's past and his alleged connections to gang activity. According to reports, Sauce Walka was involved with the Mash Mode criminal street gang in 2009, using the name AWalk. During that time, he faced legal issues, including pleading guilty to deadly conduct after a shooting at a concert at Texas Southern University. More recently, in 2018, Texas state court documents described the Sauce Factory, Sauce Walka's independent record label, as a documented gang known for criminal activity. However, Sauce Walka has consistently denied these accusations, stating in interviews, "I'm going to keep rapping because I know I'm not a gang. I know we're not a gang. I know that I'm a record label. I know that I'm an artist. I'm not into gang activity or none of that stuff that's going on. I'm not worried about that. It's not what's going on." Now, the discovery of Jaden Dandridge's body in Houston has turned everything on its head once again. The suspect's demise. On March 27, 2025, barely a week after the Memphis shooting and merely days after being publicly named as a suspect, Jaden Dandridge was found dead in an abandoned building in Houston, Texas. The discovery was made near a loading dock at the old Greenspoint Mall, a location that raised immediate questions about why Dandridge had traveled from Memphis to Houston and what circumstances had led to his death. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences didn't leave much room for speculation about the cause of death. They ruled it a homicide, confirming that Dandridge had died from multiple gunshot wounds. The parallels between his death and the crime he was accused of committing were unmistakable. Both involved firearms, both appeared to be targeted attacks rather than random acts of violence, and both resulted in fatal outcomes for at least one of the victims involved. Houston police confirmed that no arrests had been made in connection with Dandridge's death, and no motive was disclosed at the time. This lack of information left room for widespread speculation, with many drawing their own conclusions about the timing and nature of his death, particularly given its proximity to the Memphis shooting in which he was implicated. The Memphis Police Department subsequently confirmed that they were no longer pursuing Dandridge as a suspect, effectively closing that chapter of the investigation into the original shooting. According to an ex-post by No Jumper, Memphis law enforcement acknowledged Dandridge's death and shifted their focus accordingly, recognizing that any legal proceedings against him were now moot. The timing of these events raised immediate questions about potential connections between Dandridge's death and the Memphis shooting. Having been found dead just 5 days after Sauce Walka and Say So P were attacked, and merely a day after being publicly identified as a suspect. The sequence of events suggested to many that his death might not have been coincidental. Adding fuel to the speculative fire, hours after Dandridge's death was announced, Sauce Walka posted RIP on his Instagram story. While this cryptic message didn't explicitly confirm any involvement or knowledge regarding Dandridge's death, its timing was notable and interpreted by many as an acknowledgement of the situation, if not an outright statement about it. For those looking for motivations or explanations behind this apparent cycle of violence, attention turned to statements made by Sauce Walka in the days following the Memphis shooting. In interviews, he claimed to have 400, 500 dudes on go mode at snap of a finger, suggesting a network of associates capable of swift action if called upon. However, in these same interviews, he explicitly stated that he did not plan to retaliate, presenting a contradiction that has fueled ongoing speculation about his potential involvement in subsequent events. At the same time, Sauce Walka's father, known as Papa Sauce, made statements emphasizing the severity of the Memphis shooting, noting that had it not been for God, my son would have been dead, underscoring the life-threatening nature of the attack and the emotional impact it had on those close to the rapper. The proximity in time between the Memphis shooting and Dandridge's death in Houston wasn't the only connection raising eyebrows. The geographical element also added another dimension to the speculation. Sauce Walka is from Houston, and Dandridge was found dead in Houston, despite the original shooting having taken place in Memphis. This movement across state lines suggested to many that there might have been more to the story than initially apparent. One theory that began circulating involved the possibility that Dandridge had traveled to Houston to collect payment only to be ambushed upon arrival. There were claims that Sauce Walka might have set the play up for Dandridge to come to Houston to pick up the bag before being backdoored or betrayed.
Well, look, there's theories though, right? That, like, for example, folks are saying that Sauce Walka set the play up, and they're saying the dude came to Houston to pick up the bag and they backdoor him, which that seems like a far-fetched theory, but you know, that could still be.
Wait, they're saying Sauce Walka set the play up for him to get shot in the leg and his homie to get killed?
No, him, right? Because Sauce Walka was not present when they got there, and he was walking up and accidentally got shot.
Oh.
So they're saying Sauce Walka's, because in that interview, and he said, yo, shout out to my in Memphis, CEO Jizzle and them, who I would have probably been more safe with them. CEO Jizzle is Say So P top op, right?
While these theories remained unsubstantiated, they reflected the complex web of relationships, rivalries, and power dynamics that often characterize discussions around violence in the hip-hop community. In discussing Dandridge's death and its potential connections to the Memphis shooting, it's important to note that another suspect in the original case remained at large. Kevin Brown, age 22, was still being sought by authorities, facing similar charges to those that had been brought against Dandridge. His continued fugitive status added another layer of complexity to the case, suggesting that there might still be individuals out there connected to the attack on Sauce Walka and Say So P. As news of Dandridge's death spread across social media platforms, reactions were predictably diverse. Posts from accounts like Gang Hits and XXL initially reported on his status as a suspect and the reward offered for his capture, only to later update their followers about his death. These posts received significant engagement, reflecting the intense public interest in the case and its unexpected developments. For many observers, the death of Jaden Dandridge represented a form of street justice, a demonstration of the eye for an eye mentality that sometimes prevails in certain communities. For others, it was a troubling continuation of violence, begetting violence, a cycle that seemed to have no clear end in sight. Looking at the broader context of Sauce Walka's career and public persona provides additional lenses through which to view these events. Sauce Walka has been involved in various controversies and incidents throughout his career, including a 2023 car chase and arrest and a 2022 robbery attempt where he claimed self-defense. These past incidents have contributed to a perception of volatility and danger surrounding his public image, regardless of the specific circumstances of each situation. It's also worth noting that Sauce Walka had allegedly been shot or shot at every year since 2021, according to some social media claims. While the accuracy of this statement has been disputed, with some calling it an exaggeration, the perception of recurring violence has nonetheless become part of the narrative surrounding the rapper's career. The fallout and community impact. The fallout from these events has been multifaceted, affecting different groups in different ways. For Sauce Walka, the physical recovery from his gunshot wound has been accompanied by a profound emotional journey as he mourns the loss of his friend and artist, Say So P. His social media posts reflected this dual struggle, with tributes to Say So P highlighting both his potential and the impact of his untimely passing. In one post, Sauce Walka wrote, "You left this earth happy and successful," acknowledging the achievements and positive state of mind of his fallen friend, even as he grappled with the tragedy of his death. For Say So P's family, particularly his mother, the aftermath has been marked by grief, compounded by rumors and speculation about the circumstances of his death. Her public statements denying theft motives and suggesting haters and misplaced loyalty as factors in her son's death reflect a mother's attempt to protect her son's legacy while seeking some form of understanding or explanation for a senseless tragedy. The hip-hop community's reaction to these events has been characterized by mourning, reflection, and calls for change. Some artists and fans have used this moment to reignite discussions about the dangers faced by figures in the hip-hop world, with Sauce Walka's own comments about ending community violence serving as a catalyst for broader conversations. These discussions have touched on topics ranging from personal security measures to the glorification of violence in music, to the real-world consequences of beefs and rivalries that sometimes extend beyond lyrics and into physical confrontations. On social media, the public response to the Memphis shooting and subsequent developments has been polarized, reflecting the complex and often contradictory emotions these events evoke. Some fans expressed unwavering support for Sauce Walka, praising his contributions to Houston's rap culture and his business acumen in elevating other artists. For instance, one ex-user at Propane713 stated that Sauce Walka is an artist that all H-Town rappers old and new should be riding for and supporting 100% RN, highlighting his importance to the local music scene. Similarly, at DJ Premium J on X noted, "You can say what you want, but Sauce Walka has consistently showed y'all how to hold down your homies and put them in position to win," suggesting that he should be recognized for his role as an executive in the entertainment industry, not just as a performer. However, criticism has also been abundant, particularly surrounding accusations of recklessness and poor decision-making. On Reddit, one user with a highly upvoted comment directly attributed Say So P's death to Sauce Walka's stupidity and inability to move correctly, a sentiment that echoed across multiple platforms as people questioned his security measures and personal choices leading up to the Memphis shooting. Others on social media platforms like X criticized Sauce Walka for what they perceived as clout-chasing behavior. At Fat Mac Wap stated, "Sauce Walka low-key a cornball, clout-chasing type FRLOL, that's actually kind of how he got on. Clout chasing, trying to beef with Young Thug," suggesting that his rise to prominence was fueled by manufactured conflicts rather than artistic merit. Similarly, at 3SL0_B887GI described him as a peon fake PIRU who should be slandered, questioning his authenticity and gang affiliations. The recurring theme of safety concerns is particularly noteworthy in the social media discourse surrounding these events. At Mike's Music Take on X observed, "Not so fun fact, Sauce Walka has been shot or shot at every year since 2021. Sauce needs to move different, hire security or something, especially when you fly into a different city. RIP to his artist." This post, which garnered significant engagement, highlighted not only the perception of Sauce Walka as a frequent target, but also the communal sense that preventative measures could and should have been taken to avoid tragedy. In conversations on Reddit, fans repeatedly expressed frustration with rappers and athletes flexing on social media, arguing that such behavior makes them targets for robbery and violence. This criticism extended beyond Sauce Walka himself to encompass broader cultural practices within certain communities, suggesting a desire for change that might prevent similar incidents in the future. As these discussions unfolded online, law enforcement agencies in both Memphis and Houston continued their investigations into the respective shooting incidents. With Jaden Dandridge deceased, the Memphis police focused on locating Kevin Brown, the second suspect in the original shooting, who remained at large and faced similar charges to those brought against Dandridge. Meanwhile, Houston authorities worked to determine who was responsible for Dandridge's death, with no arrests made and no motives disclosed as of early April 2025. The lack of closure in both cases has contributed to ongoing speculation about connections between the two incidents. Some social media users theorized that Dandridge's death was a planned hit in retaliation for the Memphis shooting, while others suggested it might have been unrelated or coincidental. Without official confirmation from law enforcement about potential links, the public has been left to draw its own conclusions based on timing, geography, and circumstantial evidence. One particularly consequential aspect of these events has been their impact on conversations about violence within and surrounding the hip-hop community. These incidents have become part of a larger discourse about the real-world dangers faced by artists in the industry, especially those with backgrounds in or connections to environments where violence is more prevalent. Sauce Walka's statement that he would not retaliate against Say So P's killers, despite claiming to have a network capable of doing so, represents a potential stance against continuing cycles of violence. Whether this statement was genuine genuine or strategic in the wake of a high-profile incident, it introduced a perspective on breaking cycles of violence that resonated with some and was met with skepticism by others. This ambivalence reflects broader societal tensions between formal justice systems and street justice, between forgiveness and retribution, and between public personas and private actions. The shooting and its aftermath have also renewed attention on Memphis as a site of violence affecting hip-hop artists. The city, which has produced numerous influential rappers and played a significant role in the evolution of Southern hip-hop, has experienced several high-profile incidents involving artists in recent years. The targeted nature of the attack on Sauce Walka and Say So P, as confirmed by Memphis police, adds to concerns about safety for performers visiting or residing in the city. Similarly, the discovery of Jaden Dandridge's body in Houston has raised questions about that city's dynamics, particularly given Sauce Walka's hometown connections there. The geographical movement between these two cities, from the initial shooting in Memphis to Dandridge's death in Houston, creates a narrative that spans state lines and potentially involves networks or individuals in multiple locations, further complicating both investigations and public understanding of these events. For fans of both Sauce Walka and Say So P, these events have prompted reflection on the artist's work and legacies. Say So P, at just 27 years old, was building a career that showed promise, having recently signed to the Sauce Factory. His death represents not only a personal tragedy, but also the loss of potential contributions to the music world. Sauce Walka's tributes to him emphasized this aspect, noting that Say So P had achieved success and happiness before his untimely passing, a small comfort in the face of overwhelming loss. Sauce Walka's own career, marked by both artistic accomplishments and controversies, continues to evolve in the shadow of these events. On Reddit, users have acknowledged his skills, with some describing him as bar for bar one of the best rappers by far in Texas, and even in the rap game period, despite the controversies surrounding him. The juxtaposition of artistic respect with criticism of his personal choices highlights the complex relationship between an artist's work and their life outside of music.
It's crazy because Sauce Walka, like bar for bar, is one of the best rappers by far in Texas.
And if you'd like to see how other stories are evolving, click this video on your screen that YouTube thinks you're gonna love for some reason.